Hi guys, Jen from jencochran.com. Today we are talking about all things content, but the behind the scenes part of that content. So often as content creators, we put up a ton of content. We write blog posts, we make videos, we put stuff on all the social medias, but a lot of times we just put up whatever feels right for the moment, or we have a little bit of a plan, but not really. And so today we're gonna be talking about how to make all your content work to accomplish your business goals, not just work to attract viewers that may or may not end up purchasing from you or furthering your business. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about are content calendars. And I made 3 printables that you guys can go pick up for free in the Pineapple Party part of jencochran.com/pineapple party. The link will be below. And so you can go there, grab these content calendars. There are 3. So there is a quarterly content calendar, there is a monthly content calendar, and there is a weekly one that you can use to keep yourself organized. Some people like to have a yearly content calendar. I don't like to plan that far ahead in my business. Like, I like to have a goal, but as far as figuring out all my posts for the whole year, stuff changes, I evolve, stuff shifts in my business, and so planning that far in advance just really doesn't do it for me. You might be different, in which case you can just print out 4 of the quarterly content calendars, and whammo bammo, you have a yearly content calendar. So to start with, we are going to be looking at the quarterly content calendar. So in this calendar, we have it divided into 3 months, and then you're gonna have your topics. So the main thing you need to be thinking of in your quarterly planning is knowing your yearly goal, or your goal for the end of the year, or just whatever goal you're projecting out to, and break that into quarters in your mind of, okay, if I do this step this quarter, and then this step the next quarter, so on and so forth, by the end of the year, I will have met those goals. And so all of the content that you're producing, all of the topics that you're covering are gonna be focused on ways to meet that goal. So if, for example, your goal is to grow your email list, you need to put out like content upgrades or other lead magnets, things that attract people to exchange an email address for that content. Otherwise, you're not going to be growing your email list. You could be putting out all the best content in the world, but hardly anyone's going to sign up for your list unless you give them some sort of incentive. So baking those into your plan from the get-go is going to make that whole process easier. So if your goal is to grow your list, you are always going to want to put out content that requires some sort of content upgrade to make it functional. Kind of like this, because you see I made the content calendars and I put them in the Pineapple Party, and you go and sign up for the list to get in the Pineapple Party. Practice what you preach. So pick a broad enough subject that you can't necessarily cover it all in one post, or that it will be missing something if they don't have something to write on or a little workbook to go through, that they kind of need A to go with B. So you're gonna take your content calendar, and on my content calendar, I have it start out with a theme for each of the months. So themes really help because you can take a big piece of content and break it down into steps, because a lot of times people don't want the expose. It's important to have those pillar pieces of content that are big and detailed, but people don't necessarily want that kind of content every single time they interact with you. So breaking your theme down into 4 or 5, depending on how many weeks are in that month. I always have it as 5 on the calendar, but some months have 4, so you just leave off that last one. So dividing it into the topics will let you talk about it in smaller ways, and maybe even dive deeper than you would be able to than if you're trying to cover that all in one big chunk. So after you've written your theme or your focus for the month, then you write your goal for the month. So if your goal for the quarter is to get, 1,000 more email subscribers, then if you have 3 months in the quarter, maybe you start out with a smaller chunk of those. So maybe, it's 200 subscribers for this month, because you're gonna be building a couple of things that are gonna work on an evergreen basis for you that people can keep signing up for. So you're gonna have more and more of those things as the quarter progresses. So maybe you start out with a little smaller chunk here, a medium-sized chunk here, and more of the lion's share on the last month that you have. So you have your goal. So everything that you're writing about and your topics on these next steps is going to be focused on that goal. Everything here is going to focus on getting, for this example, those 200 email subscribers. So writing out things that people are really interested in. If you're covering something that's too niche, or that not a lot of people have asked questions about, then you're probably not going to reach those subscribers because you're not putting out the kind of content that those people need to hear. So if you have questions about what kind of content you should be writing or what kind of questions people are asking, go into Facebook groups, go into Quora, go around the internet and just search for the questions that people are already asking. And instead of answering those questions there, or in addition to answering those questions there, you produce a piece of content, because if one person has that question, a lot of people probably have that same question. So that's our quarterly calendar. You're gonna wanna get that all filled out, and then you move to the monthly calendar. So we are going to take our monthly content calendar, and you will see that there is room for the topics at the top, so you just bring that right over from your quarterly calendar. Then there's this box that says core content. So this is the main piece of content. So this is when we start talking about a little thing that a lot of people like to call repurposing your content. A lot of time, newbie content creators, even old bee content creators, get stuck in thinking that they have to produce tons and tons of content on tons and tons of different topics. But in reality, what you could be doing, and what you really, in my opinion, should be doing, is produce core pieces of content and then repurpose that into other areas of your kind of content marketing plan. So what do I mean by repurposing? Well, repurposing is taking the same content that you've already produced and reusing it in different, usually smaller ways around different parts of the interwebs. So for example, for this video, I am making a video about how to repurpose and plan out your content, right? Well, I made content calendars as my content upgrade, which you will see here. So this is my content upgrade. My core content is this video on how to do all this content stuff. And then my repurposing is maybe I could transcribe this video, or I could kind of rewrite on exactly the same topic in more of a blog friendly way. And so that could go on my blog. I could do a Facebook Live about it. Heck, I could do a challenge about it, challenging you guys on how to do all these different content steps, which that's not a bad idea. I might have to try that. Maybe you put up little pictures of the calendars on Instagram. Kind of did that too. And then you just kind of talk about maybe your process of creating the content calendars is another piece of kind of behind the scenes content that you can do revolving around this. So just different ways you can use the same information to put on all the different social media networks in unique ways. You don't want to just put the same thing everywhere, because that doesn't encourage people to follow you on your other social networks. That's another important thing. So yeah, never put the same content on different social media channels. Always have it be tweaked a little bit. So some people like to use their Instagram, some of it's like the stylized pictures on the regular Instagram feed, and then you have your behind the scenes in your Instagram stories. And so you always like give people a reason to see that like real life side of it in the stories, but also look at the prettified version of what you're doing in your feed or on your page. And then like your Facebook could be the more business, instructional side of your business. Your YouTube, again, might be instructional, but in a more formalized fashion, whereas on Facebook, maybe you do a little lives and it's very interactive. Obviously, YouTube channel is not necessarily as interactive, so it's a little more formalized version, and your blog post is probably the most formal because it's written and it's much more deliberate, that you can make mistakes on a video, you can definitely make mistakes in a live, and so that's kind of the progression of how you can decide to share your content across all your social medias. So once you have your topic, your core piece of content, and your content upgrade plan, then you're going to work on the repurposing part of your plan. So I have 3 blanks here because everyone's going to want to repurpose their content in a different way depending on what social media channels that you like to be active in. Another pro tip, you don't want to be active on every single social media unless you have a little bit of help, because it's just going to overwhelm you and you're not going to do it right. When you sign up for a social media account, in a lot of ways you're making a commitment to the people that are following you that you are indeed going to be there for them and with them on that social media channel. And so if you just pop in once in a blue moon, you're not fulfilling that commitment and it's breaking trust. Yes, it's maybe like a micro breaking of trust, but they're gonna feel like you don't follow through. They're gonna feel like maybe you don't know what you're talking about, and so only be on the social media channels that you can commit to. the kind of caveat to that is to buy, like, get your real estate, so get your name, but then don't actually start an account on those, like, the new social media channels that are popping up all the time. So figure out your repurposing plan. For this one, it might be to post on Instagram, to do an Instagram story about it, and maybe to do a Facebook Live broadcast about this. And then I have a series of boxes down here. So for me, I would want to do maybe posting on Instagram every single day, interacting in my Facebook group every single day, interacting in other people's Facebook groups, and maybe you have some other activity that you like to engage in. So this gives you like a daily checkbox to where you can see over time to try not to miss a day. So there's that kind of like fun self-pressure, because it's not peer pressure, so like it's a self-pressure to kind of get all your boxes checked, to get all your ducks in a row. So these are like send out a newsletter or like things that you would do once. These are the kind of things that you would do every single day. So you can transfer all the topics from your content, the quarterly content plan. You can do your core content all at once, which might be better because then you can kind of plan out the flow of how things are going to work, and your content upgrades, and then just do your repurposing plan or your boxes on a week-to-week basis. I would recommend your repurposing plan that you might have a couple core things that you're interested in talking about and using over and over and over again, but be flexible. So if you find that Instagram stories are just not doing it for your business, then don't spend a ton of time putting out that content. Do what works. So last but not least, we have the weekly content plan. And so this one's my favorite because it feels most kind of like a bullet journal, which is what I was using before I made these calendars. Because I actually made these calendars for me and was using them for a while and then decided, hey, if this is working so well for me, I should probably give this to my people too. So I prettified it and gave it to you guys. Yippee! So weekly content calendar. My favorite part of this is that we get your 12-month business goal in front of your face every single week. So it's super important that you always keep that big goal in mind. You're projecting energy to it. It helps you prioritize and say no to the things that aren't serving you. So you get your 12-month business goal, your monthly goal, what you're trying to do, and then your weekly goal, which, to follow our example from before, is the 200 email subscribers. Next, we have your theme, which you can bring over from that monthly calendar. Your core content, now we have a due date associated with that. Your content upgrade also has a due date, and then your repurposing plan, which you can write out in a little bit more detail and maybe figure out a couple of extra things that you didn't necessarily think about on your monthly plan when you did that. So this is like the very detailed version. And then we have the Sunday through Saturday calendar. R means Thursday. It started for me in college because that's how our college calendars do it. And apparently a lot of people don't use R for Thursday, but it works for me and I thought it totally made sense. So we have an R. So here's where you plan out your daily activities so you have those due dates. So, Wednesday, record the video telling people how to use these content calendars. Thursday, put it on the YouTube channel. I just put FB or IG or like my social media abbreviations on here so that I can check that I did those. And then any notes, things that you want to include for next week, things that worked, things that didn't work, super nice things that people said, like those are really good to collect. And so yeah, you get your whole content calendar together, you get your repurposing, you get your life together, and your content is gonna work so much better when it's focused on meeting that goal and when you're not struggling and scrambling to get all of that content together all the time. When you have a plan, you can recycle, reduce, reuse your content. It'll be awesome. So thanks for listening, guys. If you liked what I had to say, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I will keep bringing you more awesome business content. Bye.